If you want to remove this bearing at home using this kit, then you're in the right place. The first job is to remove the ABS sensor. This one was stubborn, so I used the back end of the wooden hammer to gently knock it loose. Once it started to move, I was able to pry it out. With that out the way, I locked the hub in the vise. Now we need to remove the spindle. This is a spindle shaft, and it needs to be pulled out from this part here, the inner race of the bearing. This kit comes with a nut press designed to pull the shaft out, and that's what we'll use here. Take the jaw and the horseshoe press plates out the box and lay them out. We'll be using the horseshoe plates later to pull the bearing out. For now, just take the jaw and position it behind the spindle. The idea is it will be pressed against the back of the hub whilst the spindle is being wound out. With the threaded rod in position, I apply some grease to help protect the threads. Next, the press nut gets wound on. Once everything is properly aligned, I place the spanner and ratchet in position and start winding it. As the pressure builds, the disc shield will start to compress. That's normal here because the shield can't be removed separately. Once it flattens slightly, the jaw reaches the solid hub and the spindle can be pressed out. Here's a replay so you can clearly see the spindle being pulled out of the bearing. The inner race will usually stay stuck to the spindle when it comes out, which is completely normal. We will remove that part later. Next, use circlip pliers to remove the circlip. This one was heavily rusted, so I had to apply quite a bit of pressure and use a screwdriver to help work it free. Since the circlip was removed from this side, the bearing will also need to be pulled from this side too. Find a press piece that will push against the inner race from this side. Choose one that matches the size of the race as closely as possible, like this one here. Using the jaw alone won't work because the force needs to be applied to the bore rather than the hub due to the amount of pressure required. I tested the first shoe piece, but it ended up contacting the hub instead of the bore. The second one only touched the bore, but that still wasn't ideal. Finally, the last piece I tried fits perfectly, providing solid contact where it's needed. I fit the press piece to the jaw and used the two provided screws to secure it in place. With that set, it sits solidly on the front bore and the threaded rod is inserted through. On the other side, I position the other press piece and wind on the nut. Before I begin, I adjust and align everything to make sure it's properly positioned. Then I start turning the spanner and ratchet. I only got so far with winding it before it started to feel really tight. The circlip was definitely out, so nothing was stopping the bearing. I switched to a breaker bar, but I needed both hands to get it moving. I locked the ratchet on the bench and I was able to make steady turns until the bearing finally gave way. From there, it got much easier and the bearing was safely extracted. With the bearing out, I cleaned up the lips of the bore to get rid of the rust. A quick spray of brake cleaner and a rag made everything nice and clean, and then I added some grease inside to get it ready for the new bearing. To install the new bearing, we first need to identify which side has the tone ring. I used a magnetic screwdriver to check. This side has the tone ring, while the other side doesn't. Since the ABS sensor sits at the back of the hub, we'll be pressing the bearing in from this side. When pressing in the new bearing, we need a press piece that contacts only the outer race, never the inner race. The biggest press piece in the box is this one, but it presses on the inner race, which is the wrong approach. I'm going to repurpose the old bearing by removing the seal and the rollers, then cleaning out the rust. We can use this old bearing as a perfect tool to press on the outer race of the new bearing. I set the new bearing in place and positioned the old bearing right behind it. I added the largest press piece and inserted the threaded rod. On the other side, I place a cup against the inner bore, follow it with the matching press piece, and finally wind on the nut to align everything to make sure it's all seated properly. With the spanner and ratchet in position, I start winding. Using the old bearing creates the perfect press. It avoids the delicate inner components and presses perfectly on the outer race. Always remember, a bearing should never be pressed in from the inside. At the end, give the bearing one last firm push to ensure it's fully seated. Then remove the press kit and fit the new circlip, making sure it sits fully in the groove. I'm going to test this race puller tool. To remove the race from the spindle, turn the large nut anti-clockwise until the jaws grip the groove between the shaft and the race. You can check by gently rotating it. then tighten the large nut and spin the other nut until it presses against the base, locking everything securely in place. The next step is to turn the center threaded rod until it makes contact with the spindle shaft itself. With the ratchet in place, I start winding, but I notice it slipping. Some people will cut an X into the race and hammer it off, but that can be risky. Cutting too much or slipping with the chisel can easily damage the shaft. A guaranteed clean method is to cut a groove all the way around the inner race. Next, wind the jaws back on so they grip firmly inside the groove. This way there's no slipping and the inner race comes off cleanly and safely. As you can see, there's no marks on the spindle. This is a hub cleaner tool. Simply attach the abrasive pad, connect it to the drill and clean in between the studs until the hub face is nice and clean. To install the spindle, find a press piece that stays within the inner race of the new bearing. From the box, I select one that fits properly and does exactly that. Now find another press piece that fits the front of the spindle. Apply some grease to the bearing, position the spindle and place the press piece on top. Then insert the threaded rod. On the other side, fit the other press piece and wind on the nut to bring it all together. Spanner and ratchet in position, I begin winding. As I go, I make sure that the inner press piece hasn't slipped. We are effectively pressing against both inner races here, which is absolutely fine because none of the internal bearing components are being loaded. After removing the installation kit, the bearing is nice and tight with no play and it's good to go. The last thing to do is just to reinstall the ABS sensor. If you found value in this video, subscribe and I'll make more content like this.